A Nation on the Move, Marches, Blockades, and Change. So that's our next episode. Before we jump into that, I would like to make one point and something that we talked about, we wrote about on our Instagram, and I just want to make sure that everyone understands that we are not the part of official student movement, and we do not speak for the plenums of the universities. We are just the observers. We are Serbian citizens, but we are observers, and we don't speak for anyone. That said, we're also going to try to be as objective as we can. Our main goal is to inform everyone. It's not to pick sides. But yeah, it's hard in some moments, but we're gonna try to continue to be as objective as possible, and bring you all the information from Serbia currently. So in last episode, we finished with a march that students that have done of 100 kilometers from Belgrade to Novi Sad to go to a protest in Novi Sad on 1st of February. But the thing before that happened, actually, it was confirmed on 31st of January, is that the Serbian students have been, the nomination was accepted for the Nobel Prize, of Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah. So that was a huge deal. One director from Serbia, Siniša Kovačević, together with other colleagues, I'm not sure exactly the names, they nominated the students, they sent the application of the students, and yeah, so that was a great news that we got. And then they went on the march to Novi Sad, and yeah, then on Novi Sad, was there anything else that we had to say about Novi Sad? What happened there?
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything, but the most important thing is that the protest that started in many towns in Serbia now started to communicate between the towns. So for the first time, we had this unique ephemeral event where you have young, tearful, joyous crowds of young people traveling across Serbia, and that never happened before. So it was a really important phenomenon for everyone who was between Belgrade and Novi Sad, and that is the most important thing. So today, where we're gonna pick off is we're gonna continue to follow that energy as it traveled through Serbia, as it traveled to different towns. So after the 1st of February, the gathering in Novi Sad, at the end of it, students announced next gathering is on the 15th of February in a town called Kragujevac. Why is the date and the place really important? So 15th of February is what we call Dan Državnosti. So it's the day that we celebrate everything that made our country what it is today. So since its independence, to its history, to how the constitution evolved, everything that makes us who we are today, we celebrate on the 15th. So why did the why did the students choose Kragujevac? Well, because our constitution was founded on the 15th of February, on the day when the students announced the next huge gathering, and it was founded in Kragujevac. So that day is not only important because Serbian independence started on that day in 1804, but then on the same date in 1835, we have our first constitution. So when students invite everyone who supports their demands being met to come to Kragujevac on the 15th of February, they are reminding everyone of our first constitution. And fun fact, our constitution was very ahead of its time when it was made. It is really a political phenomenon, and our current constitution evolved from it, so students are being very wise here to make references to the first constitution. And so they march from all the university towns and they reach Kragujevac. And along the way, what was really beautiful to see is as when they were going to Novi Sad, they were greeted with warmth, they were greeted with hospitality, they were greeted with medical assistance. But I think it's fascinating to mention what they were carrying in their hands and how did they reach this city.
Yeah, so they were actually carrying the Constitution in their hands. And it was really beautiful that people were talking about it, but no one actually realized that they were actually carrying the Constitution. So the way to Kragujevac from other cities was by marching, by bikes, by running, like jogging. We actually had joggers. So students would be running from their cities with the Constitution in their hands to bring it back to Kragujevac. So like to bring it to the place where it became. So it was really beautiful to see from all around people coming there, and it was a super Serbian gathering, I would say. Like people were dressed in like national clothes as well, and yeah. So yeah.
And that is really important, because as they were running, they were carrying the Constitution in their hands. But what we could see is that the people who were running or who were marching, or as you mentioned, found any way possible to reach Kragujevac, were displaying elements of the Serbian culture. So why is this huge? Because our like the national dress, the folklore dress, our flag, anything related to Orthodox Christianity, which is the state religion, we could see all of those elements being carried by the students with so much pride. And exactly as you said, it was a gathering that symbolized Serbian hospitality and like the best of our culture, I would say, through these like torch carrying, like, you know, when they carry the torch for the Olympic Games and everyone is so proud when they do that. This reminded me of that. And then it was not only a reminder of our constitution, of how our independence started, but it was also a reminder of everything that independence highlighted from our culture. And then there was a huge gathering, and there was a lot of food, and there was a lot of celebration. Of course, there were naysayers in Kragujevac, but I think that every person who attended that protest remembered it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And Kragujevac is a huge town in Serbia, but it is not often in the center of media, I would say. It's usually like on the north we have Novi Sad, in the center we have Belgrade, and south we have Niš. So I was really happy that Kragujevac was like the first point after Novi Sad to be enlivened in such a beautiful way.
Yeah. So we had the 15th of February, and this big protest, the students announced the date for the next one. So 15th of February, the new date got announced, and that was 1st of March in Niš, exactly, the south of Europe. So in Niš, there is an awesome story that you're going to tell us. What happened in Niš?
So 1st of March, the students announce, or they present a beautiful gathering in Niš. And for all of these gatherings, there are very witty and catchy names. So it's hard to translate them from Serbian to English, but they're very easy to remember, and you can easily remember their point and the flavor of the local culture. So when everyone came to Niš, it was really clear that it's going to have something to do with Niš's history. So during the gathering in Niš, many beautiful things happened. One of the most important one is that students presented the students' edict. So an edict is a historically crucial... we can see it here. It's beautiful. It's in Cyrillic letters, by the way. So an edict is a historically important document that is like a proclamation. So one of the most famous ones is the Edict of Milan, which was signed in very early 4th century, and it allowed Christians to express their faith in the Roman Empire. So why is it important? And what does it have to do with Niš, right? because the Emperor Constantine the Great is originally from Niš. He was born in what is today Niš and what is today Serbia. And people from Niš are fiercely proud of that. Their airport is named Constantine the Great. They have many squares and centers in the town which refer to him. So the students did as well. And following the heritage of the town and the importance of the emperor, they present the student edict. So in it, they highlight 8 points. And I'm going to translate these because I think they're really important. So we have points on freedom, on the state, on justice, on the youth, on dignity, on knowledge, on solidarity, and on the future. And they said that this edict is our promise to each other that we will build a state that will belong to everyone, in which every child can dream big. Now, we not only see their values here, but we see one very important thing, that every child can dream big, that they can dream big in their country, that they don't have to move abroad, as many of us did, to seek their dreams. So that is really important, and I think it's something that the youth has to accentuate, because people at university, they were the ones who maybe 2 years ago were thinking, to finish my studies and I'm out. Like, I can't, there's nothing for me here. So I think it's beautiful how they reclaim that dream through these 8 beautiful values. So that is something that I'm fascinated by, honestly. But for generations of our parents, my parents, maybe even a bit older, and yours, I think another thing happened. There are not many photos of it because it was quite spontaneous and people were not even very clear what was happening. It was so emotionally big that it's really hard to find footage. But veterans of the 63rd Parachute Brigade, that are an airborne and special reconnaissance unit, one of the best special forces in the Serbian army before, they handed their signature red berets to the students. That was huge. So the people who devoted their lives to protecting us now say, I take my hat off and I give it to you, 23-year-old student of, I don't know, Latin or Greek. It doesn't matter, because they're doing the same things that the members of the brigade did. And they said, we're giving this beret to you and we're gonna be on your side. We're gonna protect you. So I think people left Niš with full bellies and with like dehydrated from the crying. So it was really beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And they did stay with them, like the 63rd Parachute Brigade did stay with them until very today. Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. And it's really beautiful. So we had Niš, and then after that, do we want to talk about 8th of March?
Yeah, I think that we can mention, like, in this timeline, today's episode is going to contain a lot of huge dates and really important things. But keep in mind that with between every big date that we're talking about and every big event, protests happen on a daily or weekly basis.
Yes.
in so many towns. And I believe that up until now, 90% of opštine, how could we, like, counties,
yeah,
neighborhoods, even neighborhoods, in 90% there was at least one protest since the first faculty was blocked.
And there has been
That's
like
incredible.
there was one Instagram page that like actually keeps account on how many protests there are. And I think like every week I see something like 492 protests are held in Serbia for only this week. And like it's really, yes, like a lot everywhere, even the smallest ones, and really like, you can really see that people are waking up. And I think we can see that more protests have been happening in smaller places after the first march that students have done. So they marched to Novi Sad, and from those marches, they go through smaller places, they meet people, and people really, really see that. They see hundreds of students just passing through their city, and my neighbors welcoming them and preparing food for them. So something is happening. I want to know what it is. And let's not talk about Niš. And like Belgrade to Niš is also like super far. They had to go through a lot. I don't know how many kilometers it is. I don't even want to try. But yeah, it's a lot of kilometers.
It's a lot.
But maybe like what I want to also mention is how they came back home. How do students come back home from all of these protests when they go to other city is taxi drivers. So taxi drivers by themselves go like on their account, I mean, they go to the city where the protest is and they pick up the students and they bring them back home. So they don't have to walk all that way. And first time it happened in Novi Sad, no one expected it to happen. I mean, like we didn't know, it wasn't like planned. It wasn't something that students had in plan, but we saw that by the end of the protest, a line of hundreds of taxis just lined up on the highway waiting to pick up the students and coming back to Belgrade. And then since then it became like a thing that they're doing, a tradition. And it's so cute and we really love that. And we have here also a map of Serbia. I mean, Serbia. And this is, I think, like every place where there is a protest, where a protest happened. And I think, I don't know what... Okay, so a date says that this is until 4th of February. No, 24th of February.
Yeah.
So
it is in our timeline.
Now. So at that time, like this is everything, and those lines are the marches that happened, right? Like
exactly. Yeah.
Where they marched.
There are where they marched. There is where they were greeted. So let's say if they're marching from Belgrade to Novi Sad, they're going to be greeted in a few larger towns where they're going to stop for lunch or where they're going to like stop to sleep, to stay overnight.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you would agree with me, but we're looking at a map of solidarity. So students march, they're greeted by whatever people have. If you have 3 apples, you're going to bring those 3 apples out. And so the old people were especially, I'm saying old people because our villages are known to only have residents that are very old. They brought whatever they could, and then as you go to towns, you have like little kids coming up to see them, like, oh, those students from the larger town near. And when the students were marching, they would march next to someone's home where people usually don't drop by, and they're like, hey neighbor, how are you? And the neighbor brings out a horse. They're like, I love your horse. Like it's beautiful. So we have like this direct dialogue of, I don't know, a kid like me who's from Belgrade seeing a different kind of life, and the person who's from a really small town seeing someone who studies like in the big city. And there was like this dialogue that could have been a bit awkward, but with so much enthusiasm and so much joy, it was just so pleasant. And you have like images of people lining up and like the students hugging them, and it was beautiful.
Old people crying and saying thank you to the students.
Yes.
It's a lot. Also, like some a lot of like older generations, like I think my parents' generation, and like those that were young in the 2000s when the last big huge protest happened, is also like they are saying like thank you and so sorry that we didn't do this properly. And now you have to do it because we didn't do it properly. So like those are just some like of the banners that they would be carrying around. And I also want to reflect why we have this map. I want to just come back to the point that this has all started in Novi Sad with a terrible thing that happened on the train station, and then the protests, all of this was inspired by Faculty of Dramatic Arts. So all this happened in Belgrade in Faculty of Dramatic Arts when the first blocked university, and then all of this, as you said, solidarity. It's wonderful to see like that. And
really.
so we see now that that's like hundreds of thousands of people in total, or even more in total, when you see like all those people who are welcoming students on the marches and so on. You see so many people. And still the national frequency broadcasters are not sharing exactly what is happening. And then you have this group of students that find themselves in a park that is in front of the parliament. Is that what's parliament in English?
It's a skupština?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is parliament.
Yes.
Yeah.
Parliament. And so what happens with who are those students?
What's happening? So we have Belgrade has many centers, but where we're going to talk about is a very specific location, because imagine on one side of the street you have the parliament, and then you have a huge park, which is called beautiful park. It's protected, like ecologically protected. It's called Pionirski Park. Below it, you have the presidency. So it's a beautiful park with a very distinct location between the presidency and the parliament. On 6th of March, a group of students gather in that park, so between the parliament and the presidency. They say, we are students 2.0, and we have our demands as well. And we're going to, so they didn't block a university. Okay, let me just say this. Students 2.0, that's what they call themselves. They have demands 2.0, and their demands are that the university blockades cease. They say, we want to study, we want to return back to faculty, we don't want our parents to pay us rent if we're not studying in Belgrade or wherever. And we have dreams, we have deadlines, we have goals, we want to study. So we're staying here until our demands are met. Their demands are that the university blockade cease, that they continue having the exams, and that the Ministry of Education resigns. Like, they're not happy with what she's doing, so they demand that she resigns. Interesting thing, because they want the universities to work, they say we're not blocking the universities like our peers. We are blocking this park. Park is public property, so I can walk there, you can walk there, students 2.0 can walk there, but people are not supposed to block it. So they stayed there, and then they set up camp. So they have tents, and people from Belgrade immediately gather, like the same night, they gather to see, hey, what's happening. And we see that the students are staying there, and they're setting up camp really quickly. Soon enough, in a matter of days, so this is 6th of March. And in 6th of March, they're setting up their camp. The camp is secured very cozy between the presidency. They're staying there. Then soon enough, many more people start to gather there. People who seem to appear older, they claim, oh, I'm just supporting the students, but they keep staying there, like 24 hours a day. So the students 2.0 sleep there, the people supporting students 2.0 sleep there as well. And then we see that students 2.0 and their guests are being protected by the police. So that's not what usually happens, and that continues. Then people start to gather more around, tensions rise. They're saying, like, let me walk in my park. They say, let me continue studying. Everything is very tense, but with the police there, there's no violence. It's not escalating. 13th of March, I believe, traktori. How would you call traktori? Like field? Yeah, tractors. Yeah. So it's like machines that help us work in the field. A lot of those come to the Students 2.0 blocked camp. They come and they make like this live wall in front of. So we have Students 2.0 camp, we have the tractors, and they go all around that camp. So we are blocked completely from the park, and it's also really cozied up next to the presidency. Then there's more people gathering around wanting to see what's happening. They keep asking the police, who are you? Why are you? What are you doing here? The police says nothing, or I can't answer that, or you should ask someone else. There are students 2.0. There's an increasing number of old people who are, I mean, not old, like they're not 90, they're like 45, like they're not students, who are there with the students all the time. We start to see people who are known to the public as very violent individuals. So my apologies, that is my grandfather. And so we see individuals that are there gathering with the students, and we see the police, and we also see, very interestingly, members who work for the public office. So we see like the person who is in charge of one part of town, who's in charge of a municipality, of a tiny municipality. We start to see people that we know and who are working very closely with the government, and they're there, they're not even hiding. Press comes there, and when they ask them, who are you, what are you studying, what are your demands, do you hope your demands are going to be met, everyone says no comment.
By the way, no one wants to comment. So this video that we just saw, you literally have policemen. So this is the reporter approaching the police to ask them a question such as, this is a public park, why can I not walk through the public park? What is happening here? Like, why can I go? And no one wants to talk. No one can talk. No one is supposed to talk there, as well as students. Yes, so students are none of them have the answers. Maybe is this the moment when we mentioned the name?
Yeah,
the origin.
I think we can mention the name.
Yeah. Yes. So origin of their name. So. You said a beautiful story about, I mean, you said it beautifully. I could not have done it better. But what happened? And then for not that long were we confused, because super soon a name came up for them. So this picture is one of the, maybe even the oldest school, would you say, Jovan Ivanović Maj?
Yeah, it's like a very traditionally acclaimed old educational institution. I don't know if it's the oldest.
That is in close to Novi Sad. And so the protests are happening, and this is I would say like January, but I'm not exactly sure, something around that time when people who are against the students that are blocking their university, they started drawing the middle fingers all over, like they're starting to like kind of come back to everything that the students are doing. And this is one of their movements when they said, so this says đaci u školu, this is supposed to say đaci u školu, which is students back to school. But the thing, this is Cyrillic, this is Serbian Cyrillic, and there is a difference between ch and j. And I mean, everyone knows that. It's not like something that is really hard for Serbians to know. Everyone knows that. But this is a mistake, a grammatical mistake that they made in writing on one of the oldest schools and super important schools in Serbia. And it became a meme, because who writes đaci? And so this medal there that it has in the corner, that's the medal that actually students gave to them, and they said first place for the worst spelling, something like that. And it became a thing, like everyone was like, oh, đaci, that's so funny how you said that. And then those students that just appeared in the park, they got the name đaci. So we call them đaci. And so this is how their camp looks like. So there's a lot of tents and even more garbage is something that is
Yeah.
my subjective opinion. When I saw that there, it's different. If we're gonna compare them to the students,
Sure.
students at every protest that they have, there is places for trash. Like there's always a big black trash bags where you can always throw trash because they don't want to leave it on the streets. And also students clean everything after the protest, and this is just the opposite. Yeah, so like there's
Yeah.
stuff everywhere. And also one other thing that is opposite than students, how will we call them in English? Like students in blockades, and these are like students 2.0.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
try
Students
to
and students 2.0.
students
Yeah.
and students 2.0. Yeah, so
Yeah.
these are students 2.0, and something also that is crucially different from them and students is that they have a leader. But I say it with the
Yes.
quotes because I'm not sure that he
Right.
actually says that he's a leader, but he's a person that is always on TV and always talking
Yes.
in the name of everyone. And he's an actual student. So we know that he is a student from a medical university, and a lot of people confirm that. The medical university in Belgrade. So everyone confirmed that. And then there's other people there who are not students, and even like, okay, yeah, so that's how it looks like. But we're gonna come back to that. But yes, also you could find these people in the camp, camping while like the national frequency television says that there's students in the camp, like only the students who want to learn, the students 2.0 are in the camp. And then you see these people, and this is not a rare image. So this is not something that you say someone's dad came to visit someone, because this is, I walked next to that, and I, with my own eyes, I saw more older men than students. And that's, so that's kind of, again, yeah.
And also like one more glaring difference is that there's a lot more members of one sex than the other. There's like, I think less than 10% were women. Or like, I mean, that's not an actual reflection of the gender divide at universities. So it's not 90% male, 10% female. And that was like, that, I think, like, people had different opinions about Students 0.0 camp. Sometimes they say they're Students 0.0, sometimes they call them they call themselves students who want to learn. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
But I thought that it was really odd that there's not that many female students.
Yeah.
That didn't look safe to me. For, like, hygienically, it didn't make sense.
Yes. There is, like, for example, this girl that is on his left. So this is like the leader, and the girl that is on his left is one girl that I'm always seeing. Yes, so it's like the two of them, and I think she's also I think really important. This is not me being a journalist. I think that she is put there strategically. Like we have to have a woman in frame always when someone is speaking. So that's kind of,
like a token.
Yeah, like it makes you look like there is women, inside, but there actually is not. Yeah. And
I think go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
you go.
That is really important, that all the suspicions that many people had around Students 2.0, that why are people here 24/7 if they're not parents looking out for their kid, or if they're not students, so why are they here? And then rumors started to leak that people are being paid as actors to act that they are there, or to just be there and very strictly not give any information to the press. And then later on, we have a few interviews. People started to get screenshots from friends saying, oh my God, I was asked if I'm interested in being a student in Students 2.0 camp for a day or 2 days, and they're offering me this much and this much money. And then an undercover journalist, I think he met up with a woman who was like one of the organizers. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like
He actually,
yeah,
first it was a phone call, and it was a phone call that was, the whole thing was recorded. They were recording him, so it was a really, you can really see the video. And then she tells him, like, would you want to stay overnight or like for 2 nights, because like the prices differ. She's like, if you stay there like from 7 to 7, then you get this much money, this much money. How old are you? How old do you look? Okay, you can pass as a student, yes. Do you look younger, or do you like have short hair? And like all these things, and you're just listening to that and you're like, is this a real life? But we got so many confirmation that it is, and that's actually something that was happening. He met up with her then actually in person, and then he showed that he was the N1 reporter, and N1 is like the television that reports everything, and everyone knows and everyone hates. I mean, no,
the government always like refuses to answer their
Yes.
questions. Like they criticize them. It's very
Yeah.
clear that it's not. They're not welcome,
Yeah.
so to speak, as an
They're-
independent observer.
If you're like working for the president, you don't do N1 and N1. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I hope that we were able to like help you imagine what these Students 2.0 camp looked and felt like. But although many people found a way to deal with it. So imagine if your favorite park is blocked, and there's not many parks in Belgrade, so you can take your dog and your kid to only a few parks in the town. So even though a lot of people were angry that their park is blocked, many people found humor as a way out. But I think it's really important to state that this was a very dangerous situation, because there's a group of people who is protected by, and this is, I'm being perfectly objective, there's a group of people and students that has taken up a public piece of land that is protected by the police. And okay, they can ask the police to protect them if they feel threatened. I don't know how that works, but okay, let's say that is fine. What is not fine is that bags full of stones that are used to cobble up the streets started to mysteriously appear in front of that park during the night. So that is when a lot of people got really afraid. Why are these stones appearing overnight? And those are not stones that a person can get a hold of. Those are stones that only the city can acquire through a really complicated process if they're renovating something. So supposedly something was being renovated close to there, and those stones were in the part of town, but they were not in front of the park because there's no work being done in the park. So those stones started to appear overnight, and they were not removed by the public, the public cleaning service, up until after many people called them and said, I don't feel safe. Why are these stones left here unattended? Please, please, please come pick them up. And I think this is a good introduction to our next big point during our talk today, is those stones appearing there, while at the same time the members of the government and the ruling party are presenting the grand protest, the next big protest that was planned for 15th of March, as violent. And they kept saying, okay, gather, everyone is invited, but please no violence. Please no violence, don't be violent, don't harm no one, don't hurt your neighbor. We're all in the same country, we can talk, please choose dialogue, please do not choose violence. And the students from day one, they've been saying that this is a protest, we only want our demands met, and they are very inspired by Gandhi and by his nonviolent principles of rebellion, so to speak. And so the students are saying this is going to be a nonviolent protest, but we have these stones appearing overnight, and we have everyone filling our heads up with fear. watch out, please don't be violent. If there's violence, you will be prosecuted. So we had like this peaceful event that was supposed to take place, but it was in an ecosystem of fear, I would say.
Yeah, it was presented. So it was presented from the government in a way that something really bad is going to happen. Like our president would go on news and he would say that violence is going to happen. Like that's what they want. While the students are constantly saying no. And then yes, these pictures of these stones are coming up, and then people saying that this is the day D and like this is like the biggest day, which put a lot of pressure on 15th of March from both sides. And then like
for sure.
People were like, this is the day when the government is gonna fall, and these were like, this is the day when a lot of people are gonna get in a fight, and I don't know what. So yes, it was a lot of pressure, and the preparations also went. There was a lot of tractors being imported from other cities in Serbia. So you had like highways full of tractors, and some of those tractors were on the student side, and some of their tractors are on the government side.
Students will know,
yeah. Like there are actually like farm workers who are supporting students, and they would go with them, because also being a farmer in Serbia is really hard. And they are also for students because they also want rights and some like the country to function, right? And
exactly.
And then we have the government also imported some tractors so they can be around the student point O camp, so they can protect them. So you had that mess. Students from Germany, we have our student organization in Germany, and we organized to come to Belgrade. So it was, I know only about Germany, but there's probably other countries from around Serbia. There was only 200 cars from Munich going to Belgrade. And like that's a lot of people who are just, going to be there for the 15th of March. And 15th of March turned out to be the biggest protest that Serbia has seen.
Yes.
And let's talk about that day. What happened